What's up, guys? It's Carrington. Today, we're reacting to Ye's newest interview with Big Boi. Now, this comes after his Jesus is King saga. So he mentions a lot of interesting things about Christianity that I wanted to point out. But, of course, he said some pretty outlandish things like he is God. Anyways, we're going to be reacting to the interview, not the whole hour and 20 minutes. YouTube, please do not strike me with a copyright infringement on this. Because, as I said, this is from Big Boi's channel. We are going to be linking the full video in the description below. Without further ado, let's get into it.
So y'all also not only compliment each other, can you tell each other what's not working? And can you put Ye back in the booth? And can Ye put you back?
I tried to remove the cursing a bunch of times, and he was like, I was like, oh, what do you think? But the last one, like, what do you think we make this thing all clean?
No. What is the difference though when you hear, and music is like life, you know what I'm saying? And life, you're kind of like this, you know what I'm saying? And some people try to put you into a yesterday mode. You know, at one point, we hear, and this is all you. We hear, Jesus is King. We hear this, but that's all you. Then sometimes you just want to say, man, not fuck it, but you just want to say, man, this is what I'm feeling right now. Are you in that space where you're comfortable enough to say, this is where I am right now? I'm still a man of God. Jesus still is King, but this is vultures right now. This is where I am.
It is, but I have my issues with Jesus. There's a lot of stuff I went through, but I prayed and I didn't see Jesus show up. So I had to put my experience in this world, my experience with my children, my experience with other people, my experience in my account, my experience with my brand, and my experience with the level of music that I was dealing with in my own hands. Like a lot of times I just feel like in our society, in America, people, Christians, we depend on Jesus so much that we won't put the word in ourselves. And the main thing that really I don't rock with is like, it's just always like, I'm gonna pray for you. And it's just like, you can actually physically do something yourself too, more than just pray.
This is such a true statement because the entirety of where we are in society is because of the failure of the church. That is just the simple truth. When we look at what countries like this have done to our country, it has been the church who just encourages their congregation to care about their vertical relationship with God. And everything is about praying and relying on God. But the whole point of what God did through Christ is now we have access to God and God works with us. God isn't going to force us to do anything. That's the whole point of free will. And we see a lot of Christians today completely useless, completely cowards in the face of a system that really, if we stood on truth, it could be easily beaten. But because we are so focused on this naive message, this naive way of living, of believing in God, of just all relying on God, it's all God. No, God calls you to action. And so 100% I agree with what Kanye said, because it's very true. Christians just sit on the sidelines and pray and expect God to do everything, when God has given us all of the tools to go and transform this world radically and ultimately from the ground up. We have the power to do that. The church has failed in that.
And we're so in this mentality that's all that needs to happen, but we ain't praying our way out of prison. We ain't praying our way out of the abortion clinics. We ain't praying our way to get our land back. That was all.
Prime example, all the churches who want to talk about tithing and all this nonsense, what they pretty much attached to tithing is that God is going to financially bless you. Well, God is truth and God provides wisdom. There's wisdom out there in the world on how to create wealth. If we stick with this naive understanding of money, then all you are doing is serving the church, which at the end of the day really isn't the church. You're serving a group, a building, with your time, your money, when that building and those people aren't really equipping you on how to be grounded, not just in your faith, but in truth in this world that we're living in. Not everything is in the Bible. What you go through in life, this book isn't going to solve everything. You're going to have to put faith and trust in God and actually do the actions like he's saying and do things. I understand what he's doing. I just challenge the truth of it. Attacking culture through clothing and music. I think that is valiant because the church has failed. As I've said, all they have done is created a sanitized safe space. They haven't been innovative or creative as Kanye is. But again, truth has to be the grounding foundation for all of this. And I think that's the part where Kanye lacks a little.
Always ours. After gentrification, after the Harlem Renaissance and Black Wall Street was burned to the ground, then prayers ain't working. We're going to have to apply actual physical building partnerships. And it don't start unless we could really be real with each other and say, this is what I did, this is what I did. Like, I mean, look at this. I know I'm not going to third rail my energy, but look at the power of what happened when me and Kyrie was on the same page. See, that's what's scary. But what they do is they put us each in the side and say, your grandmother going to lose her crib, and this kind of, you know how many threats we've been dealt with? And I didn't play my way through the threats either. I had to get up and do it myself. I had so much to do, I didn't have time to pray.
This is honestly something that I've been struggling with. Well, not even struggling with, because I know what he's saying is true. When you have this relationship, a close enough relationship with God, you don't have to stop and pray. You don't have to stop, get on your knees, close your eyes and pray like the naive little child that the church wants to make you. You can have an internal conversation with God, and it doesn't have to be something you have to necessarily set aside time for. If you're living your life in service to God, you're always going to be talking to God through that internal conversation in your head, and you don't have to stop to do that. And you don't have to stop what you're doing, because there is so many things in this world that God has for us to do that if we're aware of it, there really is no time to waste. But I see a lot of Christians who waste time.
You know, a lot of times when you go into the whole Jesus, devout, Paul level, fell off the donkey level religious, you have thoughts in your mind and that you hide them from yourself. And then you sitting there and the whole choir is fucking, y'all sing about that fucking.
This is the bullshit with the Christianity that it exists in this world today. Everyone is a liar at the end of the day. This is the whole point of what Jesus did. Jesus took the sin that was condemned in the flesh out of the picture. Now the only thing that separates you from God is the evil within your own soul, or the good that is within your own soul. Because Christianity has a flawed eschatology, and because what comes with a flawed eschatology is, again, just flawed theology altogether, most Christians today are pretty much living in denial. They say that they are not sinning, even though they are sinning every day. They act as if their shit doesn't stink, which it does, like everyone else's does. And they're just living this construct, which it's just so fake. If you walk into a church, you feel the fakeness. Everything is just fake. Like, you can't even be real. Even those environments that say that they're trying to make it as open as possible, those tend to be the most uncomfortable environments to begin with. And it's so mind-boggling, because the very thing that they're trying not to do, they're doing. Again, I know that's not necessarily people, that's the institution, that's the entire structure of how church has been conceptualized for the past hundreds of years. And so I agree. How Christians voice the message of what God was doing through Christ is through a lot of shame, a lot of guilt. And you have to subject yourself to that in order to live a sane life in this Christian mindset. Well, there's another way, and that's to just simply just accept what God has done and accept this reality of the situation that we're in. But yeah, guys, I think what he said about Christianity is pretty spot on. Now, the other things that he says about him being God and the God of his life, absolutely not. I don't agree with that at all. The rest of the interview is out there for you guys to listen to. I think he talks about some very interesting things when it comes to this country and how this country controls our country. So it's a good listen. But also remember, spit out the bones and eat the meat. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Till next time.